One of the most prominent evangelical Christians in the country is involved in a sex scandal. CNN's Anderson Cooper spoke to one of the people involved. I'm not kidding when I say this. It sounds fake, but it's real. There's a pool boy by the name of Giancarlo. It's so ridiculous. It's that guy right there. Pool boy by the name of Giancarlo. And he was sleeping with Jerry Falwell Jr.'s wife. You're going to hear some of the details here, and then I have a lot to say about it.
Just before we went on air today, I spoke with a man at the center of a scandal involving one of the most important evangelical leaders in the country. Giancarlo Granda is his name. He was a pool attendant in a Miami hotel when he met Jerry Falwell Jr. and his wife, Becky. Some of their relationship remains in dispute, but both sides agree that Granda had a sexual relationship with Becky Falwell. Granda has said that Jerry Falwell would watch them. Both Falwells deny that. They say Granda was trying to extort money from them. Granda denies that. Our discussion involved both sets of allegations as well as how we first met the Falwells. Let's just start at the beginning of how you came to meet them.
Right. So
you met them at the Fontainebleau Hotel. What happened?
Yeah. Fontainebleau Hotel, work shift. I noticed this woman behind me staring at me. She's staring at me, she's flirting back and forth, and she invites me back to her hotel. But before she invites me back to the hotel, she's like, hey, by the way, my husband, he likes to watch. And immediately I pulled back. And I thought it was a little bit odd. I don't like to shame anyone for anything. It's okay, but I did find it odd at the moment. And she's like, "Don't worry. He's not gonna intervene. He's just gonna watch in the corner of the room. He's gonna watch in the corner of the room." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm a 20-year-old single guy. I'm like, why not?"
Did you know who they were at that time?
I had no idea who they were. At the end of my work shift, they called me through a blocked number, and then they told me to meet them at another hotel. And it was right by the Fontainebleau. I meet them at this hotel. I walk into the lobby, and Becky's sitting there. She's nervous. I'm nervous. She offers me whiskey to calm down, to relax, and then shortly after we go up to the room.
You're 20 years old, by the way.
I was 20 years old, the age of a Liberty University student. Right, that's really important to remember. Go up, and Jerry's laying down, and there's two beds. He's laying down in one of the beds. And he's noticeably drunk and giggling, and then again, I'm a little bit worried, right? I'm like, what am I getting myself into? And then I said, hey, at any point, if you get jealous or upset, just let me know and I'll walk out of here, no problem.
You said that to Jerry Falwell?
I said that to Jerry Falwell. He's like, no, just go for it, right? He encouraged me. He's like, just go for it.
Did you get the sense that they had done this before? I mean, did it seem new to either of them? In
hindsight, look, now, as a 29-year-old man, I can see how they're very methodical in targeting me. It's very clear. Now, after years that have gone by, they told me that I was perfect. And I was exactly what they were looking for, is what they would tell me.
Perfect why?
Well, to give context, when I was in high school, I suffered with video game addiction. I was a bit timid, nervous, and when I was working at the Fontainebleau, I was starting to come out of my shell, but I still had these insecurities, and I guess they detected it, which made me an ideal target for them.
Did Jerry Falwell participate? I mean, did he just watch?
He would watch. Again, I don't want to go too much into the details at the moment, but he would watch, and he enjoyed watching me and Becky have sex.
So he was sexually involved, but just not actually physically participating with you?
Right. He would just sit in the corner, and he was just enjoying watching us.
The way he says that at the end. What I'm trying to say, Anderson, is he was enjoying watching us. He was enjoying watching us. You can say it, dude. He's beating off in the corner. That's what he's doing. All right, so there's a lot to say about this. Now, let's get it right off the bat. Let's get this out of the way. The issue is not, let's judge him for this being his thing, or let's judge them for this being their thing. That's not the issue at all, not even close. You're free to do whatever you want to do if it's consenting adults. Totally fine. The issue, of course, is the deep, deep hypocrisy of it all. Because Jerry Falwell Jr., just like Jerry Falwell Sr., just like Ted Haggard, just like Pat Robertson, just like all these fundamentalist evangelical Christian preachers, part of their shtick is, I'm going to judge you. I'm going to tell you what is and isn't sexually acceptable. And if you go outside of those boundaries, you're sinning, you're evil, you're bad, I am casting judgment on you, and you got to clean your damn life up. So, listen, this community, keep it real, for the longest time, they're massively anti-LGBTQ. They look at gay people as sinners who do not deserve to get married, do not deserve equal rights, and they shame all day long. Shame people who are not in the nuclear family, one man, one woman, white picket fence, a dog, 2 kids. Like, they shame all day long, man. So that's the issue. The issue is you can't preach your high and mighty, nuclear family morality while you're also into this. If he was smart, he would do a face turn. And he would come out and say, you know what? It's all true. We were so wrong for judging everybody for so long. This is what we do. We're comfortable with doing it. We're comfortable in our own skin. And now I want you to know we are advocating for sexual liberation, and we're going to become massive supporters of the LGBTQ community. We're going to donate a tremendous amount of money to it, and we're going to start attending events to repair the wounds and build new bridges and fight for anti-discrimination clauses and fight for, fill in the blank with whatever sexual liberation and LGBTQ rights issues that there are. If he was smart, he would do that face turn. Is he going to do it? I don't know. But listen, in some ways I actually feel bad because Jerry Falwell Jr., I don't know how many of you, most of you are probably too young to remember Jerry Falwell Sr., but he was one of the biggest evangelical preachers in the country. Super hardcore right-winger doctrinaire down the line. I imagine Jerry Falwell Jr. grew up in a house that was so immensely sexually repressed that he picked up all different types of, kinks and hang-ups that in his mind plague him. Like, he might think that he's sinning every time he goes about and does some of the things that he likes. So in some ways I feel bad for him. I'm also really interested in the dynamic of, because this clip goes on, by the way, I only showed you the first part of it. This clip goes on, and Giancarlo recorded a phone call in 2018 that he had with Jerry Falwell Jr.'s wife. And in the phone call, she's basically saying to him, like, you have been telling me that you're hooking up with other people, and I want you to know that actually, hurts my feelings. Like, I actually have feelings for you, and I feel bad when you tell me that. And so I'm trying to, be a bigger person and get over it, but, I really care about you, and so it hurts when you casually tell me you're hooking up with other people. And, again, Giancarlo recorded this. They played the phone call on CNN, or at least portions of it on CNN, and the argument that he was going with is, what they're doing is emotionally manipulating me into guilt-tripping me into continuing to partake in this and be a part of it. And I don't know, man. I feel like Occam's razor might be that she actually kind of liked him, right? Am I a sucker? I mean, it's possible she's guilt tripping him into you better continue to have sex with us, or me in that instance, her. But I don't know. It sounded to me like she actually kind of liked him and did feel bad that he was saying stuff like that. See, here's the thing. I'm judging the hypocrisy of Jerry Falwell Jr. and his family and how they judge everybody else, but they're doing this behind closed doors. I'm not judging that this is what they enjoy, but the final piece of this, and this might actually be controversial, is Giancarlo's not a victim, dude. He's not a victim. And he's a little bit trying to play the victim. And that's kind of getting under my skin. Because he says, yeah, I was 20 years old when it happened. He willingly did it for a long amount of time. And he's trying to act like, oh, they groomed me and this and that. Man, you're 20 years old. You're not underage. That's perfectly legal. So own your decision. Like, I would have so much more respect for him if he talked about this scandal, but also kind of owned it and was like, yeah, listen, I was young, I was horny, it sounded like a good idea, and I did it, and here are the details of it. Okay, interesting, fine, totally cool. But he's also trying to do the victim thing of like, oh my God, I was groomed, this is not okay. And it's like, now you're losing me, son. You didn't come to this realization the first time you were fucking his wife and he was beaten off in the corner? Because anybody who really had an issue with this that day would have been like, oh my God, hell no, I don't want a dude beaten off in the corner as I'm doing this. But he didn't, and he kept doing it. He did it for like years, I think. Years. So now I'm supposed to feel bad for you? I don't feel bad for you. You chose that. Don't play the victim card. You're not a victim. And it actually cheapens real victims. So I don't like that he's playing the victim, but I do get the hypocrisy angle and how, the issue is that they always judge everybody else. Judge, shame, everybody else for their consensual sex lives. And now, hopefully they learn a lesson. But again, I am interested just in the dynamics of it. And honestly, the dynamics of Jerry Falwell Jr. literally is a cuck. I'm not saying that to put him down. That's what it's called. That's what this is. He's a cuck. So I'm interested in the dynamic. Like, why does he like it? Why do you like it? All cucks out there, sound off in the comment section. Again, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying why. I'm curious why they like it. My guess is that there's some sort of sexual turn on from humiliation. So he feels like he's being humiliated because somebody's screwing his wife in front of him. But for whatever reason, probably has a lot to do with his childhood. That feeling of humiliation is a sexual turn on for him. I mean, that's almost certainly what it is, right? In terms of, for her, I'm also curious. What is it like? Does she have an emotional connection to everybody who's part of this, cuckolding? Is that what it's called? Cuckolding? Does she really like Giancarlo? If they're doing it with Giancarlo, which clearly they were, how many other people did you have in the rotation? I don't think I really buy if they're like, oh, it's just him. It sounded very mechanical as to the genesis of it. Like she walked up to him, that night he's screwing her or soon thereafter. So how many people are in the rotation? 3? Are there 3 Giancarlos? Are there 5? Are there 12? How do you feel about each one of them? Is it so mechanical that you're just sort of going through the motions and recycling them and you barely remember their names? It sounds like she definitely remembered Giancarlo's, name and started to like him after a while. So I don't know. I'm just really curious as to the, almost like the emotional dynamics of all of it. And, in some ways I do feel bad because this guy's got they all have their sex life just being blasted out there for everybody to see. If he wasn't a hypocrite, if they weren't hypocrites, I would honestly just be defending them. But it's the hypocrisy angle that makes me more judgmental to say, like, how dare you judge everybody else for their consensual sex lives, and then now you're doing this behind closed doors. Again, hopefully they do, a face turn, and they become good guys who want to stop discrimination and want to fight for sexual liberation or whatever, but who knows if that's going to happen, man. Who knows if that's going to happen. But I hope they all get over it, and I hope this is another lesson for people. Just like, remember Ted Haggard, fundamentalist preacher, massively anti-gay, and what happened? He was caught with a gay prostitute and crystal meth. There's an old saying, how does it go? The silent sinners squeal the loudest or something like that. So yeah, they view what they're doing as sinning, and they're the loudest and most judgmental of other people. It's why some of the most vehemently anti-gay people secretly have those feelings. What I really hope people learn and accept is that, guys, there is no, as long as you're dealing with consenting adults, there is no moral or ethical angle to it. It's totally acceptable if it's consenting adults. That's it. So it's okay. It's okay. In a weird way, I'm actually here to lend, a helping hand. Maybe not the right phrase in this instance. Not helping with my hand, not happening. to lend a voice of support to people in this situation, which is it's okay. Like, it's really not a big deal. It's just what you're into. It's whatever. So, and I hope that on some level people can internalize that. Internalize the fact that if it's your thing, it's your thing. Nobody's getting hurt. It is what it is. So just accept it. And also, what is their marriage like? Because I could see it going either way. That like the Falwells really love each other and they're so comfortable with each other that they're willing to open up the door to try this stuff, to even float the idea. You really got to trust the person, right? That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is like, who knows? Maybe they were so miserable that they're like, hey, we don't let other people into this, then we're going to divorce each other and hate each other forever. So let's bring other people into it. I don't know. But it's all curious. It's all interesting. If only they weren't hypocrites.